Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of My Six Cents. We're back. That's awesome. I've got Scott here again today, so that's a good news. So we were and still are. We wanted to talk a little bit about Fauci, the science, if you will. I'll refer to him as the science. He's been held.
His
Or they voted to
WWE
hold
name.
him. Yeah, WWE. They are voting, or they voted to hold him in contempt of Congress after pleading the fifth 111 times. We'll get into that. We're still going to talk about that, but something pretty big happened, and I kind of wanted to talk about this first, open with this. First, I have to apologize if you're watching. I look like I've been punched in the face. I started getting sick last night, and I got like no sleep. I've been coughing, and so anyway, I apologize. And if my voice sounds more sultry, then I don't apologize at all.
Ooh, it does. It sounds very sultry right
now. Thank you. So anyway, the first thing that I'd like to talk about, which is something really big, Trump announced that there is a 10-point peace plan. Now that leaves my mouth, it's kind of funny because the same thing happened with Iran, and we see how that's going. But anyway, this is more promising because I actually care about the people in Gaza and the Christians there as well. That's where most of our holy sites are, and most of the people who are from the Abrahamic bloodline. We all know that anyway. So let's talk about this. So he comes up with this plan, and I'm going to read a couple points, and me and Scott are just going to go over it. So Israel, Hamas, and other Palestinian factions will suspend military operations in Gaza. Hamas and other factions in Gaza agree not only that all civilian governance and security functions in Gaza will be taken over by the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, but that the committee can carry out its responsibilities independently.
That was a mouthful.
The NCAG, which is the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, will oversee the disarmament process of Hamas and all terror cells there. Gaza will be governed according to the principle of one authority, one law, one weapon.
I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah, that last one's weird. Israeli forces who presently occupy more than half of Gaza will execute, this is huge, execute a phased withdrawal from Gaza, and the International Stabilization Force will separate Israeli forces from NCAG-controlled areas during the withdrawal. So that's 6. And of course, our favorite person in the entire world,
Levantine country.
Yeah. Yes. I can't bet you, Scott. I bet you can't guess who doesn't like this plan.
Let me guess. Benjamin Netanyahu, bro.
That is correct. He is not happy with this. He is facing a tough re-election battle and an ongoing corruption trial. And is quoted by saying Israel rejects the 15-point document. 15-point, interesting. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is disarmed. Now, that's like the tricky part of this. Is that's what they always say. They always say like until they put, but it's like they're still just murdering people at will and at random, pretty much. And then they just say, oh, there was one Hamas operator in this hotel.
There was a guy in there. We had to carpet bomb the whole city.
And it's like, and until they disarm, it's like, well, that's crazy because how are you going to have to? You're going to have to prove that. That's what they're hinging this whole thing on. Is it was like you're going to have to prove that they're all gone, and then it's like no. You leave. You're not even supposed to be there. Over 1,000 settlers or 1,000 Palestinians have died to settlers' hands since these illegal setups that they have over there. A lot of them, I was watching a documentary, a lot of them are just like teenagers.
Yeah.
Over there with like ATVs, just like being awful. So anyway, I have no problem with any of this. And I think, in fact, the overwhelming amount of people who are just decent wouldn't have a problem with this. But if you are a Zionist, then this in Iran being solved is your actual nightmare. The whole weapon thing, I don't really understand that. Gaza will be one law, one authority, and one weapon. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
And you really don't know who is going to hold. That's the thing, is who is Israel, who's going to hold Israel to account? Because that's the problem with all of this. As we were speaking right before we got on, and I said, it's amazing to me how we're like, hey, listen, we're going to solve this Iran problem, we're going to get out of there, and Israel's like, no. Or no, we're gonna talk to negotiators and find peace, and Israel's like, no, and we're like, yeah, okay. And it's like, okay, here's the 15th time we really need peace before we start a global issue, and they're like, no, you don't. We're like, you're right, no, we don't.
Yeah, the Israelis have absolutely no reason to want this plan to go into effect. The shell game we're watching is ways that keep justifying their occupation of foreign countries. And it's interesting. I was at dinner last night and I was talking to someone about Rhodesia. I know this is like, we're like, what's happening
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now?
yeah.
But I was talking about
Mm-hmm.
Rhodesia, and this person didn't know like about Rhodesia. It actually came up because I'm kind of a gun autist, right? And the FAL came up. We were like talking about different weapons platforms, and not to tangent too hard, but um, it's very relevant. It's interestingly relevant. So we're talking about the FAL, which I'm assuming you're familiar with, right? Yeah, the
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
7.62 automatic. Um, but the Rhodesians, they went into Zimbabwe and kind of set up like a breakaway country within a country, and the FAL and their short shorts were kind of like the iconic um, image of the Bush War. So I brought up the fact that it went into Israel, of course, because Israel was like one of the first people to um, basically say that it was super bad, and the Rhodesians were mean and bad, and they needed to stop, while secretly giving them weapons, while secretly importing FALs that they, I believe, made in Israel. But the reason why they said that Rhodesia was bad is because it was an apartheid state, and that was bad back in the 60s. And now we have them doing the same thing.
Do we have another apartheid state?
Well, I mean, to be fair, they've kind of like killed like 1 million people, probably, or tens of thousands at least. So it may not be an apartheid state anymore. They may have like successfully genocided all of the other demographics, but yeah. So it's a little tangent there, looking at Rhodesia and Israel and all that stuff, but they need to maintain this narrative so that they can continue to occupy these lands and justify it through Zionism and religion, but also through this, oh, everyone's trying to kill me, and I'm just a poor little state in the middle of this like sea of evil people that just want to kill me for no reason because of things that happened thousands of years ago. And so they of course they want to reject this plan because having some semblance of peace and like a legal framework around that peace kind of removes all of their reasoning for doing what they're doing. So anyway, I'm tangenting, but it makes sense that anytime you get close to some semblance of peace, you're going to see them break ceasefires. They're going to
Yeah.
attack their neighbors. Basically, since the beginning of this Iran conflict as well, they've done everything they could to undermine Donald Trump. Not that that needs much undermining, but they've done everything they can to undermine Donald Trump and the American people, in my opinion, and getting us any attempt to get out of this conflict. We've now like hooked our wagon to them, so they understand that the longer they keep this going, the longer their play continues.
Right.
So
And what is my whole question is, what is the benefit? The thing of seedless watermelons, like, great, that's cool, right? What's the benefit to this our most loyal friend in the Middle East? And it's like, they, on all the big stuff, they've been wrong. Iraq, Afghan, like all the all the intelligence, right? So if we're gonna go with intelligence, then like where have they been right on all the big stuff?
Yeah.
Like, could you show us? It's like all they do is feed a pic, dude, Netanyahu in front of Congress with a picture of a bomb. They're almost here. Like they are 2 weeks away. 2 weeks. He's been doing this for years and years, and every president's seen through it. And they finally, I think this is just, again, I kind of agree with the idea that he realized that this is his last chance to handle the Greater Israel project without really being stopped, because he's got Trump, and Trump's the guy who said, I've got a 99% approval rating in Israel. And it's like, well, dude, it's not good that you have a super high approval rating in a country that nobody likes and a lower approval rating in the country that you're running.
You've got to
You shouldn't be.
realize, well, I mean, you don't have to, but you have to take into account in your analysis here that I really don't think Trump is plugged in as we think he is.
I agree.
Yeah,
You remember? So I don't mean to interrupt.
that's
Real quick,
fine.
do you remember when Biden was? We watched him debate, and we like got on later. We're like,
Yeah.
what was that? And it's like, it's because his inner circle is not letting these things through.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's not. Chuck Schumer had to, if you remember, I read that crazy book by whatever the guy, Jake Tapper, maybe the Jake Tapper book.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that. But so he found out that like he was not getting the right polling numbers. Chuck Schumer had to go to the White House and be like, what are you looking at here? And he shows them what Biden's looking at. And it's like, you're going to win this. And then it's like, well, here's the real polls. Like if you don't get out now, we're going to lose, which inevitably they did. But I think you're absolutely right in your summation there. I think that he's not getting it.
My business has 8 employees, right? This is I know. There should be a bingo card where it's like, does Scott mention his business, dog training, or I don't know, Warhammer 40K or something,
Yeah, like a drinking game. Like,
Yeah.
take a shot every time Scott mentions he's got a business, lost employees, or COVID sucks.
Yeah. Or he mentions dog training, take 2 shots for that. But so my business has 8 employees, and there's plenty of stuff going on that I have no idea what's happening. They have their own little circles of things that they get done without, like, they don't need to come to me for everything. Why would they? The business would like grind to a halt if I had to make every freaking decision for our business. The reason I bring
Right.
this up is it's the same thing with Trump. Like, you can't manage the entire government yourself, and he has to, like, just simply by the basis of reality, he's not going to know everything. So I think that Trump is not as locked in with what the American people think, because he really just watched. I think when Trump gets a couple minutes, or like 30 minutes to listen to whatever, that 30 minutes a day where Trump's not like flying around or interacting with his staff or playing golf or sleeping or interacting with his wife and kids and stuff, like, or whatever the hell Trump does, he's got he's not like you and I, where we can just drive around or walk around and listen to podcasts all day and be like super plugged into everything. So the 30 minutes a day that Trump gets to kind of get updated about the world, he's watching Fox News or he's listening to Mark Levin, and that's what he thinks. He thinks like, oh, the polls are just, it's Trump 1.0 and the polls aren't real and everyone actually likes me, but this
Yeah,
is
that reporter that just he gave an interview to a reporter, and Trump goes, "Yeah, they call me the greatest president ever, or they're saying that I'm going to be the greatest president ever." And the reporter's literally is like, "Nobody's saying that."
right. And he's like, no, it's not
He's
true.
like, "Yeah, it's not true." It's
They
like,
don't like the
no, you don't understand.
Republicans. They don't like the Republicans. They love me though. And it's like, actually, it's kind of the opposite. Like, we really don't like the Republicans either, because they're essentially like traitors. They're like that, like, hobbled over guy in the movie 300. You know what I'm saying? I can't.
Yes, yes.
Ephialtes or whatever.
Hmm.
Ephialtes. That's the Republicans. They're like they're leading the Persians like through the back, um the back path so they can get around the Phosian gate. I'm fucking up. Oops, I said the
Yeah,
word. I'm messing up everyone's
you're
name
okay.
here, but
Dude, you're okay.
they're the Republicans are the interlopers and the traitors here, and like so anyway, we're looking at a president who really thinks that he is the greatest thing ever and doesn't understand that people don't like Republicans because of the dumb crap he's doing. And these people that supposedly are supposed to be a check on his power are just like, yeah, whatever. It's cool. I think that the Republicans could like landslide if they ran on impeaching the dude. Like if every Republican got out there and they're like, yeah, we're all going to impeach Donald Trump if he reelect us, they would like, there'd be no Democrat party. They would just be like, done. You know, we're gonna impeach Donald
Correct.
Trump and get JD
Right.
Vance in. You'd have like a 90% win rate. Like you wouldn't even have to worry about Democrats right now if that's all they ran on.
Right.
And if they were like, yeah, we're not going to fund Israel anymore, and we're not going to do
Right.
adventurism on their
That's the
behalf,
new
like,
thing though, dude.
yeah,
That's the new thing is any candidate and all these random clips of people that you've seen that have had debates. And are you going to take money from APAC? Are you going to support this, or like, especially when it comes to the government of Israel? And you're getting a lot of people that are like, no, no, no. And you're starting to see these. That's going to be one of the, if it
it's
gets
the
to it,
only issue, bro.
it's going to be the only issue that anyone cares about. And so the whole election's up for grabs. It's who's ever like, we're out of actual wars. And if you don't, you impeach. I impeach me,
Right. You know, it's so
because there's
funny.
really no much, there's no hope left really. Because we thought that Trump, what he said he was going to do, he didn't. And so what's your other option? The Democrats aren't something I'm interested in at all. They're gone. They have left the station.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, like Massey is still kind of middle, right?
Here's
Like,
how
who do you,
bad it is. Here's how bad it is. I was talking to my wife the other night, and this is how bad the state of politics is. I was like, you know, I'm actually like kind of open to the idea of voting for a moderate Democrat. Like
yeah.
like I'm just like
Yeah.
it's slightly like somewhere in the back of my head. Like that is how bad the state of politics is that me, the evil MAGA Mohawk man, is even considering voting for like a moderate Democrat. Like if a Democrat got out there and it'd be
Right.
like, we're not going to try and like rearrange the means of production or whatever, and we're not going to like full blown cultural revolution society. I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe yeah, leave guns alone, and
Right.
it's and
Like a
here's
normal Democrat.
yeah, yeah, like a Bill. I'd vote for Bill Clinton in the '90s, basically. Like I don't like it. I mean, I don't think that's where we should stop as a political movement, if you will. But at this point, I'll take Bill Clinton in the '90s. That's how bad things are. I caught myself from saying potty language again, but that's like how bad things are. And again, talking to my wife again about um, the burrito thing came up, right? The $20 burrito, whatever that happened all last week, that came up, right? And I've kind of red pilled her, you know. I would say like it's hard to be in proximity to me and not become like a raging Austrian economist, you know. And this is a relevant point. Like the way that Trump and the Republicans and all the polling, um, there's this like idea that all that Republicans really need to do is like explain things harder, right? They're just not explaining hard enough like how
Right.
good they're doing or how
Yeah.
stupid communism is or whatever. And you know, just to qualify any new listeners that come across this episode, I am not a communist. I do not like communists, okay? But, but I can truly see how young people have come to thinking communism is a great idea.
We
And
were talking about this. Yep.
and one like really important thing to remember, like people will be like, "Oh, well, communism will just make everyone poor. Communism will just mean so like everyone doesn't have stuff." And you're telling that to poor people that don't have stuff. So they're like, who cares? I already don't have anything. I'm already never going to own a house. I'm already like in debt up to my eyeballs and I can't afford groceries. I can't afford anything. And you're like, yeah, but
Yeah, cook your own meals.
if you vote for the guy that says he's going to give you food and shit, like everyone's going to be poor. Like put yourself into the shoes of that person. They're like, are you
Well, they
even
can't,
listening to
Scott. They
what I'm
can't.
saying right now?
No, they haven't been listening for years and years. Like all these
Well,
people have
it's
no. What does a 70-year-old know about the plight of a 24-year-old kid getting out of college? What do any of these people understand? They just are there to get rich and whatever.
we have to create
Yeah,
the system or the environment where people are invested in capitalism, right? Which is what we had up until like 25, 30 years ago, like we need
weird. It's
everyone
like we
owning stuff.
printed money and
Yeah,
devalued our currency and
that's right. That's right.
the COVID thing, the transfer of wealth. I don't know how it happened, but anyway,
Yeah.
and we can get to all that. But so
This is
this
so relevant though to why Trump thinks the things he thinks and why he doesn't
correct.
understand what's actually going on. He's an
I
old
had a whole
boomer.
conversation.
He
Yep,
doesn't understand what's going on. And
I had a
he,
whole
yeah.
conversation with somebody. Sorry, I'll remove that with this person, and about oil futures
Yeah.
and why Brent crude and WTI are showing like $77 a barrel and $83 or $85, whatever it is, a barrel. And Trump's like, why aren't the prices going down? He's asking. It's like, because that's not the real price. If you called Rotterdam, crude or refined are like $154 a barrel. And we know this because there's like 42 to 44, I think it's 42 or 44 gallons in a barrel,
Yeah.
right? And so when you do that simple, quick math, that's like 367 a gallon at the pump.
It,
And so Trump's out there, he's not being told the correct information. He's only watching futures, which he basically controls with the word of his mouth. Like the strait's open. Oh, okay, so then we're going to invest in oil futures, right? Like that's just the way things like that work. This has absolutely nothing to do with the Israel peace plan. This more
no,
has to do with
it
like
kind of does though.
with Trump not listening to anybody.
And
And
you
that's
got to
how I guess
realize too that Trump is a real estate investor. He is a stock speculator and a real estate investor. And when it comes to like long tail, like long stream production processes, real estate, yeah, maybe building a building or redeveloping some land, it does require understanding like multiple moving pieces. You need to know how much like building materials cost and the runtime on permitting and all this other stuff. There, but for all intents and purposes, real estate speculation and stock speculation is relatively simple. Like you've only got to understand like one or two pieces. But when you're understanding like global macroeconomic commodities markets, it's freaking complicated, Like you've got the entire production stream. I rambled about this last week, so I'm not going to do it again, but there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to getting gasoline into your car. Uh, when it comes to like understanding why houses cost 400 grand, that's pretty simple. It's still complicated, but it's way simpler than why gas is expensive, you know? And why, like, hey, I can't just say stuff and the price goes down. I mean, what's going on here? It's because it's really complicated.
yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. And again, that whole thing, this whole energy crisis that's about to happen, like that's what people don't understand. Like, this person was like, oh, back in 2000 and blah. It's like, yeah, that's great. Like there wasn't we're kind of on the verge of an energy crisis if we don't get this Iran thing figured out, which is a direct correlation to Israel. It is crazy for me to say this on a microphone. Israel will not let us out of that conflict.
That's right.
And it is absurd that I have to say that the world superpower is being bossed around by New Jersey and some little man who whatever the corruption charge, whatever. It's insane. But the good news, this is a bit of good news, whether it's going to happen or not. I do love reading this stuff. Those people in Gaza have been abused.
That's right.
It is my opinion. If you just look at the pictures and you don't think that's a genocide and you think I mean, like, how could you possibly? I've heard the funny arguments like, oh, they use human shields. Like, how many human shields are in an apartment complex when they're going after one guy?
Right.
You
And
know what I mean? Like,
it's like
how do
Hydra
you
too. You
how do
kill
you
one
look at these
person and a
pictures
million of
and
them.
everything is just leveled and you're like, yep, they're using human shields. It's like they don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
I mean, you've seen the interviews with nuns in Palestine. It's like, dude, they're getting beat up too. Like their homes are being taken. Their convents are being taken. It's crazy. And then the whole Lebanon thing, and now we have a peace. Like he's like, hey, let's get this peace thing done, which will probably turn out just kind of the way it did with Clinton. Another great book. I should have it around here somewhere. But he really wasn't able to get anything done because of Israel. Well, and a couple other things, but Netanyahu and everyone behind Netanyahu, by the way, is so far to the right.
Oh yeah,
They
they're
are
crazy
hawks.
people. Yeah.
Ben Gvir wants to burn the entire world down. These people are insane. And to think that like Netanyahu's the calmest one is crazy. But it is good to see that there are some words coming out of the White House, coming out of Trump's mouth saying, hey, we're kind of pushing for peace. I like that. I don't care who says it. I do not care.
Yeah.
I mean, those people just need relief. And if this is going to get it, and this could be the turning point, you see one more thing before we start talking about the science, which is such a great idea for his WWE name. Oh yeah. Anyway, is you see videos of Netanyahu standing up in front of NATO or in front of the United Nations and everyone's booing him and turning their back and walking out. It's like, that's great, but like, why doesn't anyone do something? Well, great, he gets booed. Like, you think he cares? Like, he runs everybody. I don't know what it is, or you can speculate all you want, but it's like, why aren't we doing something about it? And I'm hoping maybe this is the first time that, or someone might actually, because I still think Iran, we just need to leave. We need to go. We've lost. Okay. Last week we talked about how the treaty process, the MOU was going, and they're like, just give Trump a win. And Iran's like, no.
Right.
He doesn't need a win. He needs to get out. And like we talked about last week, he's a 95% approval rating in the MOU. Correct. No one likes what's in the MOU. Everyone's happy that there is one so we can leave. So whatever you got to do to end this whole thing and get out of here,
I mean, Iran's got him in an armbar right now, to use
100%. All they got to do is call their bluff. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, get them out of Lebanon. Dude, tell them to sit down and get out of Lebanon.
Have you seen what's going on in Ukraine right now, by the way? I mean, Russia's like beating the crap out of them right now.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
And I'm not sitting here being like, oh, Russia, yay. But I also like understand, again, back to like Trump and betraying and all that stuff, like, they should absolutely be doing the same thing in Ukraine as well. Like, you guys need to be friends. What the hell is going on? Because Russia's going to steamroll you, and you got all these like insane. I mean, how insane is it that like leftists or whatever or liberal Democrats are now the war hawks? It's crazy, and they think that that Ukraine's gonna win. Like, no, it's insane. So
I said that from the very beginning, dude. I'm like, I don't understand what you guys think is going to happen, but they just cannot win. I got friends from back in Vienna, parents of my friends who are like, long live Ukraine. And it's like,
insane,
dude, and then you see videos of people being conscripted by being pulled out of their cars, out of their parents' hands, out of their, out of their kids' arms.
Yeah.
Oh, those people want to fight for Ukraine.
Yeah. And like, full disclosure, if there's a draft in the United States, I'm going to prison, like,
sure.
I'm not going to fight for Israel. I'll go to prison for the duration of the war, or however long I need to. It's just not happening. But they don't do that. They rip you out of your parents' hands. They put you in boot camp. Here's a rifle. It's like literal enemy at the gate. To the front line. Yeah, they're like, the man behind you has the ammo. The man in front of you has the rifle. When the man with the rifle dies, you pick it up. I mean, like, it's literally that scene from Enemy at the Gates. It's insane shit, dude.
I know.
It's
I mean,
insane.
thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. And you know what's
Oh my
crazy is
God.
Tim Dillon said something I thought it was so profound.
That man's
But he
hilarious.
said he's great. If you got to watch a couple episodes and kind of get over his format,
He's
because he
hilarious.
repeats himself, but he
Yeah.
is absolutely. I had to, you had told me, hey, listen to him. I listened to that one episode. I'm like, I can't take this. And then I'm like, the next week I went back. Okay, I'll try. And now it's like I listen
He's
to him all
so
the time.
funny.
And I just once he starts repeating himself, I just tune out until he gets to something new.
Yeah.
Because hold on one second, just to stop on this. But there are times where he reads an advert and I can't tell, because like sometimes I'll try to skip. I'll be like driving and I'll try to skip the advert, but I don't know where the advert ends. And
You can't skip them because they're funny too.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like he talks about like Erica Kirk and the mints neurogum. It's like, and then you don't even know where the podcast starts because he's on this. I mean, it's like could be a 15-minute ad. Anyway, but what he said was, that's so funny.
There was one last like a week or two ago where he's like, leave this in. Did you hear that one when he like messed up reading it or whatever? And he's like, no, leave this in.
That's so funny. So he said, he said, China knows and understands that wars don't work anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
They don't work. And he's like, China's going to sit back and watch the rest of the whole world burn themselves out on war and then become the hegemon. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happening.
And that's why
we have clearly seen through the proclivity of Israel and their craziness, we have seen that the U.S. isn't the top dog anymore.
Right.
Or maybe they are, but they're not like they got tested, they got checked on the yard, and the yard wins.
Yeah.
Like
on the seas, like in the water, we absolutely decimate everyone.
Sure, dude. But like, when is there going to be a naval war?
Though, right.
And that's what I'm saying. And that you're telling me $1.5 trillion, that's what it gets us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like all this outdated technology and all this stuff. It's like you go to, Russia and Ukraine are using drones and putting fiber optic cable in forests and like all this crazy stuff that they're like, how is Iran doing this? Well, what they're doing is they're paying $30 for a drone to be made. It takes week for them to make 400 drones, and they're able to stave off the greatest military in the world. And how weird is that? That sounds so similar to some other country that took on one of the greatest militaries the world has ever known and beat them into submission.
That's right.
Well,
here's the thing. And this is why I brought up Ukraine, because it's relevant in that now that Russia's kind of taken the gloves off, we're seeing it's the same story over there too. This is why I brought up Ukraine, because it's showing that the way that I kind of like I jujitsu, right, and judo, I do both, and it's the guy who's
take a shot, everybody take a shot.
Okay, that's another one. There we go. That's another one. Yeah, we got to add that to the bingo or the drinking game. But it's the dude who like talks a lot of smack on the side of the mat, and then he gets on the mat and he just gets wrecked, and that's what the United 100%. States has become, because in Ukraine, they're not able to stop Russia's most recent push into Ukraine, because they don't have
they're never going to get that land back.
Right. They don't have the interceptors. The same way that the United States is running low on munitions as well. Like, it's really exposing the dude who's talking all the smack. And what happens after that is I don't know. Like, it's truly terrifying to think like what the world actually understands now is like,
we're not saying by any means that China is this great country, but
I love the United States.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is what they've done is they're like, we don't need the war. It burns it out. It gets nothing accomplished. We're going to strengthen our country economically and infrastructure. And yes, they are the world's greatest security state. But
right, China sucks. China's not great. Yeah,
but at the same time, they get it. They're like, this is how we're going to win.
Yeah,
we're just going to win economically and let these people burn out. And that's it. And if you have two eyes and a brain, which weirdly enough these days isn't even something that's required, you see that we're getting burned out in Iran, and all we have is Donald Trump being like, we're going to bomb them back to oblivion, and all Iran is doing is like, okay, like, go shoot.
Well,
And then he's like, you know what? I decided last night at 6:30 that a peace deal was coming. And they're like, there's no peace deal. Bomb us. And he's like, I don't know who they're talking about, but I told, it's like all they have to do is continually believe this or not. Iran is the one telling the truth.
mhm.
So every time
Well,
something
they're telling
happens,
the closest to it. I wouldn't say
closest,
yeah, they're
right?
not
So like
telling the
when
complete
for
truth.
example, a big one was the MOU comes out.
Hmm.
Iran releases the MOU. The U.S. is like, that's not what's in it. And then they release the MOU, and it's like, that's what was in it.
I would say there's propaganda on both sides, bro. Like it's
Yeah, but Iran's winning
100%.
that too
Yeah.
by like a
And that
long shot.
was
Those Lego videos,
yeah.
dude.
That was the other point I was gonna make is like you don't need like a carrier doesn't do anything anymore. You
Nothing.
need trolls on the internet and you need like $1,000 drones. And that's how you win warfare now. And just like Trump watching Fox News, and all the other like tie it all together in a neat little bow, is that you've got a bunch of boomers running the government and the military, and it takes them like a decade after multiple studies and committee meetings and anything to change their damn mind, and they're fighting against people that are like actively rapidly evolving into an actual like modern military. The other thing I think too is that the West, and particularly Israel and the United States, they really anticipated that these disparate forces would come into Iran after they attacked. Like, we're talking about different militia groups and so forth. I really believe that they thought they could fracture the government, and that would enable this process for all these people to start infighting over like factional and sectarian violence, basically, to try and gain control of the country. And what it ended up doing was going, that's the bad guy right there. Like,
Correct.
let's all like team up and kill that bad guy. Just like if anyone invaded the United States, like us and the blue-haired leftists would be picking up arms together and fighting against the North Koreans or whatever. I'd be like, I don't
Correct.
care, bro. We're getting them out. Like, then we can start
Yeah.
fighting about, whatever again. But it's just stupid. I don't know. Like, there's plenty of people that predicted all of this, and they didn't listen to any of them. It's just
Well,
absolute
those are the same
nonsense.
people. They do this every time, where it's just like, this isn't going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember that Tucker episode where Tucker talked about the last conversation he had with Trump about Iran, and he's like, "This is going to ruin your presidency. This is going to ruin everything." And Trump just said, "It'll work itself out. It always
Right.
does." And it's like, dude, that is not a good.
Spiritual boomerism right there. I mean,
Yes,
that
correct.
is like, yeah, 100%.
So on a happy note,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there are words of encouragement towards nipping Israel in the butt and just giving some relief to these Palestinians who so desperately need it.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
Period. Which is great, and I'm glad to see that. Whether it happens or not, there's not much I can do about whether it happens. I can keep updating everybody on it, but I really did. Of course, when I was just outside having my coffee this morning, reading, I'm like, oh, that's great.
If Trump
Some
came
great
out and he was
news.
like, Israel's blackmailing me. Like, I'm being blackmailed. They're gonna kill my family. There's nothing I can do. Just like calls a live press conference and goes, Israel got us into all of this, and Benjamin Netanyahu is blackmailing me. And he lied to me about all of this. Trump would go down as the greatest president in history.
Period.
Yeah, like we'd be like, oh my God, mega based, bro. And the leftists would say the same thing. But short of that, it's done. It's done. The war, we're just prolonging the end of this conflict. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack it. I really hope this goes
No,
through.
you're totally
Like,
you're
if
fine.
the Gazans get some relief, it's going to be great. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it will
But
either.
let's hear it. And the
And
reason,
we don't know
yeah,
why.
if the
We don't know
words start
why.
flowing and the ideas start changing, and you said something like 10 minutes ago that brought this thought into my head. So I don't remember how the genesis occurred, but basically I remember we were talking about pragmatism in Ukraine and stuff, and what all of this has done, and this is like one of the scary parts of what has sort of happened over the last year, I'd say, um, is that it has made everyone a pragmatist. Like, all of the moves that are being made, there's no longer like ideological reasons for governance or for thinking the things that we think, like now pragmatism is coming before ideology. And we could argue that like both of those things, it's both good and bad. But what this means when you start going down pragmatic paths, you can really get into like utilitarianism and all of these sort of dark nihilistic political philosophies. And that's really the worry for me is like China's becoming, it was when you said China's the pragmatist, and we're starting to see like people abandon things like the First, Second, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, all like, and really it's like, what does the Constitution even mean? What does it even mean? Who cares? It's a napkin that people wrote on like 250 years ago. Granted, I think it's
Right.
filled with great ideas, but what the hell does it mean? It didn't do anything during COVID. They shut the whole damn country down, and like,
Well, it only applies when they're trying to get something from us.
that's right. That's right. So,
They only like, well, it's just constitutional. And it's like, wait, hold on. You're trying to get something from us. It's not, because you guys, they break the law all the time.
that's
It's
right.
never unconstitutional when they do it.
And with that being said, the science, right?
Yes,
The
yes.
Constitution
You know
and the
what? I'm
science.
gonna get AI to design me a walkout song for a wrestler named The Science.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about Dr. Fauci. Yes, I don't have a parent who's a doctor, so I'm not a doctor myself. I guess that's you have to have a relative.
You got to qualify that.
Yeah, you got to qualify. You got to make sure that.
You know how to read, though,
if
right?
That's
Okay,
the
so you
thing,
can
dude.
read
I
stuff.
do know how to read.
All right.
Yes, I can.
I don't know
But
if this guy
the
knows how to read, by the way. The one where
the biggest problem is that your mother or father is not an epidemiologist, so you can't have an opinion. But if they
why
are,
would that
then you
even
can.
matter?
You know,
If,
my mom's a court reporter, so I'm apparently a stenographer.
my dad's a airline pilot, so now I'm qualified to
So
go fly
can you come pick me up,
747s.
please? So ridiculous.
Helicopter pilot's
Anyway,
even better. Those things are hard as
dude.
shit to run.
So don't ever use that excuse like, oh, my mom's a doctor, my dad's a doctor. It's like, that's cool, man. Like, you work for a construction company. That's what you're good at. That's what you know.
We're not
We're
exactly
not
sure
sure.
what you
We're
do.
not sure. No offense, whatever. All I'm saying
I'm
is
pretty sure
you're
he's a
allowed to have
train
an opinion.
conductor.
And your opinion is the same as everyone else's. And when your only defense is my mommy's a doctor, everyone just stops listening because you sound childish.
I'm pretty sure he's a
Anywho,
train conductor that wears assless chaps on the weekend. So, sorry,
just
Darren.
for the record, all chaps are assless, because if they're not assless, you're just wearing jeans.
Well, he wears leather jeans, okay?
Leather. There you go. Leather.
Very tight leather jeans with a train conductor hat. Anyway.
So we all heard the disaster that was Anthony Fauci's testimony in front of the committee.
I plead the fifth.
He pled the fifth 111 times, even though he has a full presidential pardon that lasts 11 years.
And he's a science.
We were a little unsure of how that works, because when you have a presidential pardon, you forego the right to plead the fifth. That's something that we talked, a year ago, or 2 years. It was when Biden was leaving office. And
specifically because the Fifth Amendment protects you from self-incrimination, and you're not incriminating yourself anymore. So what the hell are we talking about?
We thought that it was kind of the best they could do, because they could call him back, ask him questions, and if he didn't answer, he goes to jail for, now it's called contempt. It's not perjury.
Right.
So anyway, so he pleads the fifth 111 times, which he's not supposed to. Josh Hawley, all of this is drama. All of this is political theater, because that's really, in my opinion, what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, just quickly, what I believe is Fauci's a made man. I believe the government's kind of a mafia-like organization, just like all of Biden's family who were pardoned. They're part of the mafia. They're made. Nothing's ever going to happen to them. They can break the law, and that's just fine. And same thing with Trump. Trump will pardon his family. I mean, a couple days ago, he came out and he was talking about the strength of a presidential pardon and if they're going to go after Fauci. And he said, it's the most powerful thing I can do. And we shouldn't mess with it. And to me, all I heard was,
I'm going to
I'm
do the
going
same
to
thing.
pardon my family.
Right.
Correct. I mean, you even see it when Trump's trying to get so he can't be prosecuted for tax crimes. That's neither here nor there. Anyway,
Trump's
it's
just going to
true.
do, I'm pardoned for everything
Yeah,
from the day I was born until I die.
that's right. Well, he set the precedent. And so, anywho, it is true. You cannot plead the fifth. You can only plead the fifth when it pertains to something that you could potentially be in trouble for or is illegal. And they demonstrated this by asking him what color his tie was, what color the floor was, like what color the folders were. And he pled the fifth on those questions as well, which, it's not illegal. He's not allowed to do that. And again, it's political theater. Josh Hawley made this big spectacle of knowing all of the legal rah, rah, rah. Again, neither of my parents are lawyers, so I have no idea what I'm talking about.
You did
But yes,
watch
he
The
used
West Wing one time, though.
I love that show. It's the greatest.
So technically you're,
I guess I'm the president.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. And so anyway,
I mean,
so
hey,
they took a vote, right? They left the whole thing after he said, my the lawyer almost got kicked out. We all saw it. We're going to move on. So they did. They voted to hold him in contempt. Now that's going to mean nothing. It means nothing to me because nothing's going to happen to him. This is the show, dog and pony show, right? They have to make it look like they're doing just enough to get your vote, right? Because this is a big deal for a lot of people. I mean, it was a big deal for even when Trump ran, was to reinvestigate Fauci. And something that Scott said to me like midweek, we talk a little bit throughout the week, and it was like these people don't understand. Like, okay, I posted an article on Facebook about Fauci and my distaste for him, and I was confronted with someone being like, "Are we still talking? Like, this is not a joke." That's exactly what was said. Are we still talking about Fauci? Like, are you really complaining about that? And it's like, God, I've heard that before. Oh, with the Epstein files that everyone was so bent out of shape about, which I am. I still am. It was one of my big things that I was unsure of if Trump was going to do that, release those files and be transparent. But here's the thing. Here's the big thing. Sure, Fauci may have done some great things, but if that's your go-to, then you also have to look at he pushed AZT through the FDA. He tested it on African orphans, marginalized people. He killed so many people that had AIDS with AZT. Then he knows, you read his personal diary, he knows that the 6-foot rule doesn't work. He knows the masks don't work. He knows that it came from a lab. Now, if we were saying this back during the COVID days, we were a conspiracy theorist. We were like shunned and shouted down. I was considered non-essential. I was asked to carry a vaccine passport. My daughter was out of school. Our kids' literacy rates dropped because of this person's suggestions. Now, yes, a lot of that has to do with your local government, your state government, but excuse me. But a lot of it has to do with the suggestions that are made to these people. Like, I bet you if Fauci was like, everybody can congregate, everything's fine. Roy Cooper here in North Carolina would have been like, everyone's staying 6 feet apart. He would have been following what the NIH is saying.
that's right.
And that's, that's what they did. So sure, he didn't have an exact hand in, I mean, like you get all lawyer-esque when you're like, you want to play with the words, but like he had an instrumental part in this whole thing. And it drives me bonkers when people are like, are you still talking about this? Like, yeah, because you were all over me a year, 2 or 3 years ago when I was saying the exact same thing. And now that I was right, I'm not trying to take a victory lap, but like, dude, the worst thing you can do is act like a child about it.
Well, bro, John Jones didn't kill anyone. He just like influenced them to drink the turpentine. Okay. Like
Correct.
Jonestown wasn't a mass suicide event. Like because John Jones, he didn't actually kill those. I mean, it wasn't murder. You know, he didn't kill those people. He just like
Right.
told them that the aliens were coming in the Hail Bop comment or whatever. That was the other people.
Yeah. Hail Bobcat.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that. He didn't do anything. He just like talked, bro. Like it's such a stupid argument. It gets me so like, ugh, the
It gets me so fired up
yeah.
because for so long, like, dude,
Mm.
when I worked at a specific place right down the road from me that will not be named because the people that work there are great, but it was like either you get the shot or you have to wear a mask. And if you get the shot, you have to have and I'm like, I'm not doing it. I have questions. It's the thing is, the first pushback I got was from a person that works there that was pretty left. And he was, I just like, you don't want to ask one question about this. Like you just inherently trust the United States government, like just implicitly. And he's like, well, no, but if you could help someone, I'm like, but how do we know? Like, there's no test, there's no information. Just come get the jab.
Yeah, this
You know,
what this really boils down to, and I think we talked about this earlier in the week too. We talk about it constantly. Is just that this allowed people. I remember it was actually my wife I was talking to, and we were sitting out in the water, talking about like post-liberal America and basically like post World War II, and there is no purpose for people in their lives anymore. And the human being needs purpose. They need something to be working towards. They need virtue is an important thing for a human being. Your actions having impact and meaning in the world is important for human beings. You and I both understand addiction and so forth, and understand that that is a huge part of solving that problem, right? So, what is the point that I'm making here? The human being in the modern world has no direct attachment to purpose. They do things that they're told. They perceive the world as happening to them. They don't perceive the world as me being able to affect change in the world for a variety of reasons. We don't need to get into all of them. But during the pandemic and what your friend just said at your former employer, it's so relevant to this point because these people had a moment where all they had to do was put a little filter on their profile picture on Facebook and browbeat people into staying home, and they could say that they were virtuous people and that they were doing something good for society. In a world where there is no meaning, it is truly nihilistic, this allowed those people that are missing that purpose in their own lives to suddenly have the most virtuous thing they could possibly do. And what was that thing? Well, that thing was doing absolutely nothing. That it was the easiest way in the world to feel important. And that's what took over our entire globe. For a brief moment, it was like a fever dream now. But yeah. And you had a guy go out on the TV every day and say, yeah, you know, like all you got to do is stand 6 feet apart and report your neighbors for having Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, and you're a good person. And
we were shown a death counter on
yeah,
CNN.
there's a little like
We
cryon
were
thing or
told
whatever.
if you get the vaccine, you can't give it or get it. Meanwhile, he had it like twice and gotten
A
the
pulmonary
jabs.
embolism too. He had a
Correct.
freaking blood clot in his
So
lung
all of
after
these
getting it,
things,
and he went out and said it's totally safe.
this is not
Mm.
speculation. None of this is speculation. This is actually what happened. I mean, you can read. There are two books that I tell everyone to read. One is Diary of a Psychosis by Tom Woods at the Libertarian Institute. It's a great book.
He's a
They
doctor, by
actually
the way. He has a doctorate in
he is a
history.
that's
So
correct.
he's
And if you get the book on Kindle, a lot of people like I read on my iPad. If you get it through Kindle, you can highlight things or actually click on all of the citations, and it'll take you to where he got it. It'll take you to the next one is called Provoked. Now, yeah, this one's a little long. I might actually.
you could use provoked as a
Anyway, it's
self-defense
huge.
tool. if you need
You
it.
can, but if you get it on the Kindle now, which I did, I got it because I wanted to support Libertarian Institute, so I got it on a copy and I got it on the Kindle. But it is so heavily notated, and they're all links. They're all links. You can just go see for yourself. So like none of the things that he suggested helped. And the problem is, yes, you're right. Science is something that you're supposed to be able to question. You're supposed to question it. It's never 100%, like things change, hypotheses change. But all I'm saying is like the second you go, no, that I am the science, I am the person. If I say it, that's how it is. And then you come to find out that like, no, it wasn't. Then like you have to eat that. I don't.
Ideas
I
that
sure
you
don't,
can't question are propaganda. Science that you can't question is propaganda.
Dude, doctors got their license taken away from giving monoclonal antibodies, which have been shown to work. Joe Rogan, CNN almost got sued for changing the color of his skin, saying he was using horse dewormer. All of this stuff, kicking people off of Twitter, like permabanning people off of Twitter because they weren't saying, we come to find out the government was involved in that.
Right.
But then it's like, are we still talking about the biggest transfer of wealth in human history?
That's right.
Now your house has cost $700,000. Are we still talking about that? Nah, dude. No, we shouldn't. You know what? My apologies. I want to take this time to apologize for all you idiots out there. I shouldn't have been talking about it. I should be humble. I should understand that I don't know anything. I'm not a doctor, and I have a hard time reading books.
Just eat your 3D printed chicken and, pay your taxes to Israel. Right here.
This is my lunch.
Yeah.
So
eat the styrofoam cup, bro. That was my favorite response to the $2 or $20 burrito debate. They were like, "Hey, millennial, just shut up and eat the styrofoam cup and be happy, okay?"
Which is exactly what it is. You'll eat bugs and you'll own nothing.
Yeah, and you'll be happy.
And you'll be happy. You will. Please. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll keep you updated. We'll keep you updated on the goings on. My summation is that Fauci will nothing will come of this. It's all theater. And also the first thing we talked about, which is could be great. Nothing will happen there. I also think that we will see a very, very large energy crisis in the near future if Trump doesn't pull out of this, which, it can't really say that.
Are we still talking about this? Are we still talking about the Iran war? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't understand it. He's just playing him like a fiddle. And are we still talking
about the Iran war, bro?
Why is gas $3.67? It needs to go down. It's like, dude, what do you think is happening right now? Call Rotterdam. It's not. Anyway, everyone have a wonderful weekend.
Peace.
I'm hoping we'll be back. Peace.